Rudy, I want to start with this I describe it as disorganized, lackluster announcement today by provincial Liberal leader Charles Milliard on what is a pretty big deal, I think, their French language policy going forward, which, I don't know. I don't know if you saw the press conference or saw the statement that was sent out. What did you think?
Look, as a former political strategist, I can just start by saying, when it comes to the Liberal Party and its leader, when it comes to French language, any policy is kind of difficult because it's an issue that you have to basically neutralize. You cannot score points, especially against a CAC government or on the PQ on the other side, because it's a very, very difficult issue. It's kind of the same that when I was in government and the Conservative had to announce something with the environment, it's something that you could not score points. So today, this announcement was difficult because I think that Charles Milliard made a mistake from the start, is that he raised expectations too much. We know that it's a difficult issue. We know that when it comes and you look at the polls, you know that the Quebec Liberal Party needs to win the hearts and mind when it comes to the Francophone, and it's a difficult issue. But the problem is that from the get-go, he said that his plan was going to be the best and that he was going to even surpass the CAC. So, yes, he did announce some money, more than $300 million. He did say that he wants to make sure that people have more time to learn French, especially immigrants, and that they have at least 2 years to learn French and to receive communication. But at the end of the day, as I see it, it was sure that Anglophones in Quebec were not going to be happy. Francophones in Quebec are going to say that he hasn't gone far enough. And at the end of the day, I just saw this announcement as something that now he can say, look, I've put out the plan, here's my plan, and at least you have a talking point to go into a campaign.
Okay, but to get back to what I started with, you would have thought for something as major as this, I don't know, maybe it's just me reacting this way, it would have been better organized, there would have been better coverage. James Manny mentioned earlier on, this wasn't even on the radar for the French media.
Oh, yeah, no. For this, in terms of process, I mean, that's zero, especially because he made the announcement at 3 o'clock at the same time as the Premier of Quebec was also announcing something. And at the end of the day, because of this story between the PQ and the PLQ and the PLQ saying we're going to sue you, everything is the PLQ is going to sue the PQ or not. So that was a bad timing. I thought he should have put the story about is he going to sue, is the Liberal Party of Quebec going to sue the PQ out of the picture and perhaps wait a couple of days because the media cycle is on it. And yes, I think you're totally right. I think it was a bad timing in terms of an important announcement that didn't get coverage. But you know what? Maybe that's what they wanted. Maybe they didn't want to broadcast that press conference. I did also ask the Liberal Party, can you give me the tape or is there a recording available? And they say there's none. So it looks like they didn't even want to put them on their Facebook or Instagram, and they didn't release any videos of it for the moment.
Doesn't that strike you as a bit bizarre?
But when you don't want to talk about something and that you see that you cannot score any political points, sometimes you just say, look, let's get it out of the way and try to neutralize that issue.
Okay, then why bother? Look, I'm not asking you.
No,
this wasn't yours, but then why bother doing this at all? Why not wait till the time is right and do it the way it should be done?
Exactly, because especially now there was a lot of Christine Fréchette was having a lot of coverage, especially because she was doing the rounds in media, and especially that she was announcing something in terms of an international strategy when it comes to Quebec at the international level. So yes, I think about timing. Maybe they say we need to do something. Maybe we need to put it out. There's too much pressure. But yes, I think that they didn't get any coverage, but perhaps also that's what they wanted.
Okay. Listen, I want to move on to the other story. I was not aware of this. Former Health Minister Christian Dubé in the news today on healthcare. What happened here?
So it's very, very interesting because since his resignation, Christian Dubé has been very, very quiet. But we learned today that actually he was working on something that he released this morning. He released kind of a white paper, about 80 pages. And it's very, very interesting because he basically gives advice to the next government of Quebec in terms of his experience on what they should do for the next negotiation with doctors and specialized doctors. We know what happened. We know that at the end of the day, Christian Dubé had a very difficult reform when it comes to healthcare, that François Legault decided not to go ahead with his reform and he resigned. But it's very interesting because he basically says, look, the next negotiation is going to be in 2028. We need to start now, and basically telling what mistakes also he did in terms of not, being able to fight the doctors on certain data. The fact that even he didn't have all the data in terms of, there was something very interesting. A lot of Quebecers, more than 500,000 Quebecers have received a letter. I've received a letter saying, oh, yes, you now have access to perhaps, a family doctor. But we all know that if you call, you're not going to be able to see that doctor. You'll have to go through what they call the guichet unique, the gap. So it's very interesting what he said is basically laying the framework of a future negotiation. And he's basically giving advice to the next government saying, this is how it should be done in the future in terms of making sure that Quebecers receive services, and that he was laid down by the former government and his premier in terms of passing that reform. The same reform that former Health Minister Gaëtan Barrette also tried in the past when he was also a Minister of Health.
So my next question again is, how strange is this or not? He's not the health minister. He left this government. What's going on here?
It's strange in a way because that can be used also for opposition in terms of criticizing and basically saying that reform and everything that the CAQ did on healthcare is not paying results and that is not good. So yes, but at the end of the day, he's also saying, look, we need to have some changes and that Quebecers need those services, and basically putting a lot of data in terms of even there's a lot of, for example, nurses who are not able to work their full, time because of problems in the system. So he's putting forward a lot of ideas. It's strange, yes. Perhaps he could have waited after an election to basically give those advice. Are those advice going to be used by other parties? That will be the game during the election campaign.
Okay. The other question I have, because again, it's like three bizarre stories in a row today, Rudy. I'm not sure why. So you had the Quebec Auditor General coming out the other day and saying, look, here's how much money has been wasted by this government, investments in electric battery, et cetera, et cetera. And then François Legault, the no longer Premier of Quebec, deciding to go on social media and call out the Auditor General, who, by the way, is completely impartial here, unless I'm wrong, and suggest that her numbers are somehow wrong.
Exactly, especially 4 days after they tabled that report and that nobody was talking about it. We all know that was a very damning report in terms of the Auditor General saying that Quebec taxpayers, we all lost $700 million because of poor investment, because procedures were not followed, because there was too much risk and too much money putting in very few companies like Nordvolt and Lyon Electric. And now, all of a sudden, you have the former premier who should normally take a bit of step, behind and not comment on those things, going to Twitter. And I think he wants to basically say what he feels about and trying to, protect his legacy. But he's hurting the current premier of Quebec, Madame Fréchette. And at the same time, we're talking about it. So sometimes former prime minister, former premiers, it's better if they take a bit of distance, especially before an election. And I think that he should stop tweeting, obviously.
Okay. And the last thing I want to ask, and I should have asked you when we talked about Charles Milliard, tomorrow is supposedly the deadline when Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon has to stand up and go, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to attack you or defame you or whatever by saying that your party is linked to organized crime. What happens here? Did he say anything today about this?
No, not for the moment. So we'll have to wait. We'll have to know what's going to happen tomorrow. But let's be honest. I mean, there's nothing going to happen because we all know that it's going to take time, that it's not going to be settled. Even if it goes before a judge, it's not going to be settled before, obviously, the election in October. And I don't think it was good for the PQ. I think the PQ and Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon went too far in his statement. But I think also it was a mistake from Charles Milliard to basically take the bait and go and do that press conference on a Sunday, because you know what happened straight after that, the PQ leader was able to again use all those talking points in terms of what happened in the past with the Liberal Party and corruption and all. So I think that it was a lose-lose, and I think that the CAQ was actually happy because Christine Fréchette today, she's still continuing to see and to say, look, what's happening with the old parties, they're fighting, and here I'm governing. So I just think that it was bad for Charles Milliard to actually take the bait. He should have not, he should have reacted at least on Friday and not do this on Sunday. And tomorrow we'll see what happens. But I just think that it's a bad narrative for both parties.
I was going to say, if you had to pick which one it was worse for, was it worse as a move by the PQ or worse as a move by the Liberals to react?
No, yeah, I think that Charles Milliard could have reacted, but he should have reacted on Friday and not on Sunday because he gave oxygen to that story.
Oh, I see. He waited too long.
Yes, waited too long. And honestly, I believe that there's the political arena, there's the media arena, and there's the justice arena. I don't think that you bring those type of statements in and saying, I'm going to sue you. You know what happens? Voters will decide in October.
Rudy Husny. Rudy, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Hello, Canada.
This is Bryan Adams Radio. Hosted by Bryan Adams himself.
We'll play a few of mine, a ton of my favorites, and some must-hear behind-the-scenes stories from the world of rock and roll. I'm coming to get you! One thing about doing rock and roll so long is you end up meeting a lot of the people that you admire. Sometimes you even get to work with them.
It's only love, and that's all. Bryan Adams Radio. I'm coming back to you. Now available on the free iHeartRadio app.
Hey everybody, how are you tonight? Sounds great.